everyone. Welcome to week 4 of our virtual learning experience together, or at least I think it's week 4. Feels like it's been longer. I miss you all so much, and I really wish that we can learn together. And but when it's safe and time, I look forward to having a class again. Until then, we will continue with our virtual learning here. This week, we're going to learn about 2 topics, the Age of Enlightenment and the Industrial Revolution. So without further ado, let's dive right in here. This chart here, and I'm sorry it's so blurry. There we go, a little bit better. Shows us all of the different people that contributed during the Age of Enlightenment, during this time period, where science, art, and music flourished, which means that it became really big and important, and it progressed in a really, really fast way. All right, so some people that are on this chart that contributed during this time period would be like William Shakespeare. He wrote famous plays like Romeo and Juliet. We have Sir Isaac Newton, and he explained the laws of gravity. So he taught us a lot about why when we jump up into the air, we don't just float away like we should. Gravity plays a big part in that, right? Also, Benjamin Franklin, he was a founding father of America, and he played a very important role in how our country was ran and continues to run, and our government, okay? And Mozart, he was a musical genius. All right, moving right along here. The Catholic Church was all-powerful in Europe until the Reformation. Afterward, people could use reason rather than religion to understand how nature works. Science, art, and music flourished. The Age of Enlightenment began. Discoveries in science changed the world. New forms of government were studied that influenced the founding fathers of the United States. So I want you to take a moment and think about how science, art, and music affects you today. Do you like listening to music? Do you enjoy making art, maybe drawing? Maybe you enjoy looking at art. What about science? Do you like learning about science? Do you enjoy going to maybe the science museum? Maybe you like conducting experiments at home or in school, science experiments. So all of those things that you're thinking about right now with science, art, and music, that's how the people in this chart right above, they had a strong passion and love for those subjects. And that's why they became very important people, and they studied it and they became experts in those areas. And that's how the Age of Enlightenment came to be. Discoveries in science changed, I think I read that right. New forms of government were studied that influenced the founding fathers. So one of the founding fathers was Benjamin Franklin. And new forms of government like democracy, the type of government that we have here in the United States, having certain freedoms that we have that other countries don't, having a certain way about how we have our government. So the structure of that government is very different from other countries and how they rule in their government. So again, the Age of Enlightenment shed light on all those things. And then the next, we're going to talk about the Industrial Revolution. And this, really like this image here. And I know that this lighting is not very good. I'm going to leave it here on this image as I read. So I want you to take a look at it and just listen while I read the passage here. It says, iron making was important during the Industrial Revolution. The Industrial Revolution began in England around 1750. People created new machines. Many were used in manufacturing. Remember, manufacturing is the making of goods. Like we talked about before break, like making a hat is an example of a good, or a pencil, or your video game, okay? Many people left farming to work in factories, like cotton mills. This increased the population of cities. Inventions like the steam engine helped many industries. That led to other inventions like the railroad. Soon the Industrial Revolution spread around the world. All right, so when these factories were built, and in this, the reason why I wanted you to just study this picture while you listen to me read out loud is because a lot of what's going on in this picture is what I was talking about. So this is a picture of a factory where iron was made, okay? So look at all the people that's in this factory right now working. So people wanted to move to cities to work in these factories, and so they moved away from more of the small town areas, and they moved to big cities so that they can work in these factories and they would have a job to was their way of making their money to support themselves and their families. Inventions like the steam engine helped many industries, and it led to like the railroad. Okay, so the railroad was a huge invention during this time. They didn't have super fast cars back then or airplanes to get around, right? So the railroad helped move a lot of supplies, and it also helped people travel from city to city and place to place. So that was a big change during this time period. Soon, and it also says the Industrial Revolution spread around the world. So the Industrial Revolution didn't just happen in the United States, it happened all around the world. Let's take a look at this graph here on the bottom. It says England imported cotton for their cotton mills. And here's a picture, a graph of the increase of cotton imports. Okay, see how the line, it's sort of staying pretty flat, and then all of a sudden it shoots up. So this right here represents the Industrial Revolution during that time period. Okay, all right, your task for this week is to answer our next two questions that is on our chapter quiz. The first one, the blank led to discoveries in science. The blank led to discoveries in science. So this is a time period that we talked about first. And not only were discoveries in science came about during this time period, but also art and music. All right, so which word would best go in this sentence? Tax, Neanderthals, or the Age of Enlightenment? Tax, Neanderthals, or Age of Enlightenment? All right, the next one. The blank led to new machines and factories. The blank led to new machines and factories. Is it feudalism, plague, or the Industrial Revolution? Or remember, feudalism was kind of a ranking system with social groups. Okay, and the plague was a very unfortunate time period where a lot of people got very, very sick and they died. Okay. So would any of those two words fit into our sentence here, or would Industrial Revolution best fit into that sentence? All right. Also, I just wanted to note, I know it says 3 and 4 here. You already did 1 and 2. Okay. So numbers 1 and 2 was your assignment from last week. What I'm doing is I'm assigning only 2 questions at a time. Normally, this would be our end of the chapter quiz that you would take at the end of our unit, but because we're doing this virtual learning, I'm just kind of taking chunks 1 at a time here, okay? So that's all I have for you for this week. just a quick overview, we talked about the Age of Enlightenment and we also talked about the Industrial Revolution. Remember, the Age of Enlightenment was a time period where science, art, and music really flourished, and a lot of discoveries were made in science, art, and music. And also, we talked about the Industrial Revolution, where there was a huge increase in making goods. So, factories were built where people made a lot of stuff, okay? And they sold all this stuff. And also, railroads were invented, and railroads helped people travel and also move all the stuff that was made in these factories so that it could be sold to all these different places around the country. I miss you all very much, and I hope you have a great week ahead. As always, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. I miss you all so much, and I'll talk to you all soon. Bye.